if I can have any distance at all from this energy, instead of being swallowed up by it or feeling immersed in it, I can take a step or two back and look at it like it's an energy. And what can I learn or glean from this energy? Welcome to Mediumship Sparks, a place for people who want to create the spiritual life they actually want to live in. Together, we're going to explore the many ways we're invited into greater awareness, deeper healing, and self-trust. The insights, ideas, experiences shared here are offered to spark curiosity and invite a deeper exploration of what's unfolding within and around you. May these conversations help you discover what feels deeply, quietly true for you. I'm Noelle Dean, intuitive medium and licensed marriage and family therapist. Quick note before we begin, the podcast is for educational purposes only and provides general information. It's not medical or psychological advice and not a substitute for care from a licensed health professional. Now let's dive in. I don't usually record episodes about how I'm feeling when I am not at a point of resolution or having figured something out, but I'm feeling so damn stuck right now that I thought I should share it because maybe you have this experience too, and none of us are really alone in the stuff that we go through. There's a chance this might help you, and then it's worth sharing. I've been going through various emotional phases over the last, not quite a year, but going on a year. Just different times of feeling especially sad. I can be a huge avoider of dealing with certain emotions or feeling those emotions or just being with those kinds of feelings that seem unpleasant. I am conveniently ADD in those moments, and it's easy to have just a second of thinking about it and then, oh, I need to put my clothes in the dryer or whatever the thing is. But this feeling is very intense. This morning, I'm about to go visit a family member, and there's a lot of emotional luggage about that relationship with somebody who is older and maybe not doing so well. As an empath, you know, too, it's tricky to be around people that aren't doing well, whether because of age or health, or maybe it's their personality to want to feel taken care of. It's hard not to feel sucked into those dynamics. And I'm not sure what I'm walking into. Some of it is anticipating that, trying to look forward to the trip and the good moments, but it's hard to divorce it from this other stuff. I've been getting a lot of support in this last 8 or 9 months to do some healing, and also it sounds so contrite to say it this way, but also to do some feeling, to stop avoiding as much, even if I have a chunk of time, a couple of days or a couple of weeks where I am prone to crying often and other things that don't feel great. The truth is, after I work through that energy, I do feel a lot better, not back to my old self better, but I do feel like I can feel more positive stuff. That's not news to anybody. They say what you can feel, you can heal. I know that they're right, but the willingness to sit in something can be tricky. But that's not the part I felt drawn to focus on right now. Sometimes I get ideas of different kinds of readings or conversations to have with spirit. I'm reminded of this one that's come to me quite a few times when you're really feeling something and you're not even sure if it's yours. I know some of this feeling that I'm having, some of the energy of this, some is mine and some of it is not mine. And I know that because I've asked several times over the last few days. When I've grounded or when I've connected with spirit, of course, I feel better, but I'm avoiding still. If I can have any distance at all from this energy, instead of being swallowed up by it or feeling immersed in it, I can take a step or two back and look at it like it's an energy. And what can I learn or glean from this energy? That's what came to me maybe an hour or two ago. And I feel like I was given a nudge and reminder about doing this. The word that came to me was inertia. I looked it up because I've heard that word many times and I wasn't exactly sure what it meant. You may have your own feelings about using AI. I use AI to help with certain tasks of my work. I'm a medium. There's only so much she can help me with. One of the things I am learning to use him for whatever reason. He feels male to me. What I use his help with is understanding patterns or consolidating chunks of information. Like this morning, I just didn't know what to do to feel better. I didn't feel like I was concentrating on grounding. So I emotionally dumped into ChatGPT asking for, what are you hearing from this? This is my situation. These are the feelings I'm having. This is what I've been having. I did get some objective bouncing back and forth kind of thing. Then I asked him, this is the word that's coming to me, inertia, but does that actually even fit with what I'm feeling? That really mattered to me to understand the term. What he wrote is, I think it's pretty close, but I'd call it emotional inertia or protective shutdown rather than simple inertia. And then he listed all of these things that I described to him: emotional heaviness, feeling activated without discharging any of that anticipatory stress of a situation I'm about to walk into, reduced frustration tolerance, which is making me not start certain tasks that require patience because I don't feel like I have any right now, emotional constriction where I'm holding everything in. And I know there's sadness underneath, but I don't want to tap into it. I want to help myself and support myself. So I have to be willing to do what there is to do. I wanted to share that because maybe this process that I'm doing right now might be helpful for me again tomorrow, but may also be helpful to you. I'm feeling a little bit lighter just sharing about this, although I'm feeling the sadness come up to my nose. I have access to a lot of the gifts of the universe because I've got time, quiet space, and I have worked on the skills to be open and perceptive about what comes through. You may have way more awareness and willingness than I do. And maybe this is kind of us meeting in the middle. You may not have all of that time. I'm just looking to share something that's being shared with me. I started asking earlier, and this is in my observation journal, where I titled it Communicating with the Energetic Inertia That Keeps Visiting Me. I'm going to connect with that energy, and then I'm going to pause the recording and I will come back and share what might be relevant for you. Okay, I just hand wrote 3 pages front and back. I wasn't really sure where to start, but I had a couple of questions that I started with. Who are you and why are you here? There's a lot. I'm not going to read all of it. It was interesting. Who are you? I'll just start with that part. It said an energetic cloud, an energetic mass of / between upset sadness because your filtration system blocks me out. No expressive releasing is happening. And then the why are you here? And it went on about the anticipatory stress that I was mentioning. And then they said something about back to my normal state, but that my striving for this new normal is actually me being more integrated. And that's what I am clear about too, when I was saying I've had these periods of just all kinds of feelings, and then I sit with it. I don't actually avoid. I can't when it's happening, it seems. And then I feel this invigorating sense afterwards. There's a few parts I would like to read. I just reread the whole thing, talking about this relative I'm visiting who can't help support me, doesn't know how to do that. And frankly, I wouldn't ask. I think they have a hard time supporting themselves. And this mass was saying, well, you can start by helping yourself with connection time with us, your actual feelings here and now. And then they gave me a visual from Good Will Hunting. It's the scene where Will and Robin Williams are in a room and Robin is looking at Will, who's all kind of worked up about something. And he's like, hey, it's not your fault. He keeps saying it. Will keeps pushing it away. And then he's like, hey, man, don't fuck with me about this. And at some point, he realizes it's safe to feel how he actually feels. And he just cries. A lot of us can relate to that feeling of bottling up because it doesn't feel safe, or you don't have the time or the space to just really let it out. Sometimes I have had the fear like, I have so much bottled up, I won't know how to come back, like bounce back from it. It seems silly to say it out loud, like how irrational is that? But that's how it's come up. And they're saying that I have that too. A lot of us do. This is why the inner work counts so much. I'm also a licensed therapist, and I felt aware at many points that I needed to keep working on myself or working to release stuff, because everything that I could hear from clients would go through the filter system in my head of being a victim if I was stuck in feeling like a victim in my own life. The clearer we are, the clearer the stuff that comes through us. We're less of an overly bogged down filtration system. And certainly as a medium, I could get triggered by things that come through. And I want to be as clear and clean as possible to deliver messages as accurately and purely as I possibly can. They showed a visual of us walking around in these spacesuits. They said that it's not like we needed the spacesuits any longer, but we forgot what it was like to walk around and feel free. A lot of times we're stuck in trying to be productive or happy, or the identity that we're trying to relate to ourselves as, and the one that we're projecting out to other people. And that can block us from our actual feelings. And they're reminding us, this is your emotion. Nobody's doing this to you. And I was reminded of a woman I know who for decades has gone to church every day. And it never dawned on me until they showed it to me this way, that part of why she's done that is to release the burden of her fear or concern or worry about life and the people she loves. She would be handing it over to her higher power every day. What a smart way to release any sort of need for control or fear of people being out of control. And they said I should consider doing something like that on this trip. I was like, what do I do next? They were talking about releasing the energy. So it's not like the emotion, but the energies of the emotion, like anger, frustration, that I've accumulated by not doing the releasing. I've been thinking lately about releasing energies, and I'm trying to visualize where to send the energy so it does no harm and maybe it brings something good. And they showed me this serene, snowy covered mountaintop. And the concept was to send the energy to the snowy mountaintop, and the quiet absorbs the energy and softens the energy and can turn it into love and support. That would make it easier to not feel like I'm sending crappy energy somewhere that would hurt something. Then the song Stray Cat Strut came to mind. The part that came in was, get a shoe thrown at me by a mean old man, get my dinner from a garbage can. And I was like, what? And then I remembered, I don't know, maybe I was 12 or something, and we lived in an apartment complex, and there was this wooded area behind our apartment. And we had a dog at the time. So I remember letting the dog off her leash to do her business. I really loved the idea of becoming a singer. Whatever song I sang, I don't know, Sean Cassidy, Do Run or something like that, because I'm embarrassed now, but I really loved that song at the time. Whatever it was, I sang it out loud. Somebody from one of their apartments yelled for me to shut up. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but they gave me that visual. And then they said, it was just one day. But on one day, these different pieces of myself or yourself, we shut those pieces down because we didn't want to feel embarrassed or we didn't want to get criticized. And then we leave it there. That piece is, maybe that part of that girl is still on that little gravelly road between the apartments and the woods. And she gave up on something that day. They were saying those were your choices to give those things up, and you can unchoose that now. So I was like, what's the point in getting this advice right now? They're saying, because you've asked, we're answering. And the next steps, those are yours to choose. And it's not our business to make choices for you. And yeah, there's predestined and pre-chosen things, but there's lots of decisions in between and decisions that nobody asked you to make. It's not surprising, they said, that out of fear and your own lack of secure attachment to supporting yourself, no matter what, you've caved so many times, it'll get much better. And then they said, they added, not justifying poor choices or thoughtless behavior, but just starting from there. And then at the end, another corny song choice, but I started hearing a little bit of Barry Manilow, Looks Like We've Made It. I love the different modalities that come in to make a message. I feel a lot less of the heaviness. At one point, they pointed out that I was feeling more motivated to share this with you than to actually do something to heal myself. And I couldn't argue with that. I'm sharing this to support you in whatever practice or process you might want to use any of this for. I have more writing to do and going back and looking at those pieces, like wanting to sing. But I get the thing about reclaiming these pieces of ourselves that we value or used to value and let them go. And there is an accumulation of the energy of resignation or sorrow or whatever. And I'm feeling more aware lately of having one foot in the spiritual world and one in this world, and feeling, not just feeling the difference, but trying to stay aware. It's so weird. It's like being in a play, being aware you're in a play, but you continue to play the role because you're supposed to. And without that, you're like, what the F am I supposed to do otherwise? And you signed up, you auditioned for that role. You chose it for reasons. I can't see the reasons so much. I want to play the role, but I want to play it with all parts of me and not just the earthly part. I feel like I just said it right there, the piece for myself that I needed to hear. So if I'm going to live my life with a foot in all parts of myself, what is that even going to look like or feel like? What would I do differently? What am I willing to do differently? I'm laying it out here about me, and I'm sharing this because I'm thinking about you and where you might relate to this. Maybe it's an older part of you, and maybe you're past a lot of this stuff, and congratulations if you are. Maybe it's something you just haven't been willing to look at because it's fucking hard. It feels painful. And it's occurring to me that part of the pain is, it's one thing when somebody inhibits us, and then we can say, I couldn't because, and then we can remember that situation. There really wasn't any other thing we felt like we could do at the time. But it stings to face that we did it and we continue doing it to ourselves. I'm clear that some of the spiritual connections that come through do so to help us free ourselves. Yeah. I want to live more and more that way. To my soul sisters and soul brothers listening to this, we all deserve to live emotionally free and unburdened because we just don't need to anymore. F all of that. However old we are, we're too fucking old to stay stuck in those ways once we become aware of it. I hope this was supportive to you and gave you something to think about or try. They're giving me a visual now of there's a lot of us, and we're all in this line with our arms linked, and we're all taking this big step forward with each other and for ourselves and together as a group. Doesn't get much better than that. Thanks for being here with me. I appreciate you. Reach out if you have ideas, if you want to share some feedback. You take care of yourself. Bye. Thank you so much for being with us today. If you'd like support as you continue your own exploring, you can find information about my classes, readings, and other offerings at connectingwithnoelle.com. If today's conversation made you think of someone, I'd love it if you would share this with them. Take good care, and I look forward to being with you again soon.